I can probably do a smaller stream tomorrow, but let's quickly talk about my problems with the game. Uh, where to start? So, jumping into it, my first impression was, holy shit, I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, the game has so much foliage, it's so unreadable. Because of that, it's really, really difficult for someone from a different background other than uh, Spellforce to actually understand what's going on the map. It took me hours upon hours of turning the screen to get comfortable. That was my number one observation in the game. Number two, this foliage, it actually hides combat. So when you are under foliage, your units go into the foliage concealed outline mode, which means that they're becoming a see-through silhouette of the actual unit. Now, this is not good for readability, especially for color settings where the colors are close to each other, particularly when it comes to people who are suffering from some kind of color blindness or have difficulty distinguishing colors. Furthermore, the same problem of visibility is happening as well with loot. So as you pick up shit from the map, it's very, very difficult to see due to the foliage and due to the fact that there's no tooltip over the actual dropped object on the floor, which is a feature that RPG games do for the same reason. You don't necessarily see the object that is on the ground, but a big tooltip that says the name of the object, now that's obvious. Well, I'm pretty sure the game crashed for me, so... So yeah, visually speaking, that's my initial impression. There's too much foliage, and there need to be item tooltips for stuff on the floor. It's essential in a game like this to be able to clearly see what's going on. Now, what I really like about the visuals, though, is the feel it gives. It's beautiful, okay? So don't misunderstand me. The graphics are very well done. The level design is very well done when it comes to environment art, but it's not practical. So my wish is that the game will be made in a way that is practically feasible for the player primarily. Gameplay should go first, looks should go second. So let's not talk about the looks anymore. There are certain VFX from abilities that are maybe a bit too strong, but it's not as bad as this. The other thing is that sometimes the layout of the map requires you to turn your camera, and the camera controls are a bit clunky. So I've changed that to press middle mouse button and move the mouse around. That helped a bit, but I'm still not very comfortable. Controls, that's going to be a big topic. Hotkeys, it's a mess. There's no good hotkeys in this game, basically. Attack move is on G. That's going to be very nice when you come from another RTS and are used to A moving, and then you should start G moving. I mean, maybe in the bedroom, but you know what I mean. You should never have to turn camera, says Rain. I fully agree. So yeah, that's attack move. A grid layout. Why doesn't a grid layout exist? Why are the heroes bunched together into an always selected state under the hood where you can just press the hotkey for the ability? And the way you end up with that is, it doesn't matter what you have selected, but if you press the right hotkey for the right ability, your hero will just do it. You don't need to select your hero. That's a non-RTSE gameplay mechanic right there. And it locks down 9 hotkeys. 9. That's crazy. Now, any proper RTS game would have a panel of commands for your units where you'd have like attack, stop, move, patrol, ability, 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 and then that could be your grid layout right there. You could do all your hotkeys right there. There's a grid interface in this. I know it's not a full proper RTS, but there is no need to do this separate system. You already have a grid view of commands, and it's not full. There's space there. There's definitely free spaces there in the unit selection interface where the commands are. The spells should all go there. The passives should stay up there where they are right now. So you should be able to click on there on the top left, and you should be still able to select your hero. You should still be able to take your potions or whatever. But for the abilities, it feels like you're stealing hotkeys from the core gameplay, and that shouldn't be done, I think. Those hotkeys should be usable in the options instead. And the way you use your heroes is select one, press the ability hotkey, press the target. That should be a castable ability. There's no camera hotkeys, so I have to open up the enlarge the map kind of function. And once I've done that, I have to click on the thing where I want to go. Or I can hotkey the buildings, which is also bad, by the way. So what should be there is a camera hotkey location, a camera location hotkey, sorry. What that is basically a control group for a camera location. Generally speaking, the more competitive RTS players set that to like Control F1 through Control F8, so you could recall that with F1, F2, F, etc. Yeah, on the topic of control groups, you cannot put multiple buildings on control groups. So in late game, you want to be producing many units from multiple buildings. And the fact that you only have one building in your control group is severely limiting. It means that the player is going to generally be not able to multitask so well. And I'm about to go off, I'm just complaining, hide and clicker. Yeah, so multiple buildings should be allowed in a control group. Just copy what StarCraft does. You have all the functionality. You just need to be able to actually bind it. Because when you have multiple units in a control group, that works fine. Then you can tap through them. That works fine. It's beautifully done, that aspect. But for some reason, buildings don't have that, and it's kind of crazy, especially for production buildings. What else is there that I wanted to talk about? Right, the options menu is pretty bad for hotkeys because it just lists all the hotkeys in one big column. So it really gives you no clear overview of what you should change, what you're going to be interested in. So if I want to look at like camera controls, then pretty much all other RTS is going to have a tab for, hey, here's your camera controls. Why don't you change them if you don't like the default? So I don't mind if your default hotkeys are crap, just make it easy on me to change them. And I think that's a pretty important thing to do and pretty easy as well to separate those into a contextual columns or whatever. That's hotkeys, camera, visibility. What about gameplay? Do we want to go into gameplay? I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough to talk about the gameplay, but yeah, I mean, I want to learn more about the gameplay. Let's talk more systems instead. UI for heroes. So when you rapidly level up early game, you generally speaking spend a lot of time in the hero interfaces where you level up your stats, where you level up your skills, and that's all happening in real-time gameplay. So it takes you out of normal gameplay, and then you make your decisions. Now, if you're a new player and don't yet know all the skills, that's that can be crushing. I've had cases in my 10, 12 multiplayer games where I got absolutely wrecked while I was looking at that interface. Uh, well, not wrecked, but severely bruised. And if that was lowered somehow, the impact of that interface, that would be great. So something like put it to the side, make it a little bit more transparent, make it a bit smaller, condense the information down. Uh, like if you have too much stuff there, then you can always just hover over the stuff and then it can display more. So if you have an attack that, I don't know, just a stupid example, I'm not sure if this exists, but if you have like 5 attack on a spearman and then there's a +2 damage against cavalry, then it's enough if you display the 5 damage and then you hover over the 5 damage and it says, oh, it also does +2 against cavalry and all these other 10 things. So condensed information, generally speaking, is good for UI clarity because it lets you look at the game. Not being able to look at the game is one of those things that you want to avoid in this case. It just feels bad when you look at the big piece of interface and get wrecked in the process. What else is there? It would be nice if I could see my stored gold without opening up one of these interfaces. Like, it should be one of the resources, I think. Hero level is good. Right, the minimap and all the stuff is actually very tiny. And I had to scale it up to maximum to even be able to see anything. And regarding minimap, why are displaying items on the minimap, such as resources, disabled? Um, why do you not show what resources are around me? Like there's a resource interface when you I forgot what button it is, but because I rebound it, but when it shows what resources are in your direct area that you're looking at, that interface should be on by default, I think. And it might be smart to condense the worker display a bit to not clog the screen so much. I think that would be useful. What else is there? I really like that splash damage is a telegraph. That's great. It gives the player an opportunity to split out uh, of massive splash damage. That's great. Hmm. It would be nice to know a bit more about income without having to hover over the resources, I guess. That that would be nice if that was displayed by default because I want to know how much money I'm making without having to, again, just focus on the UI and not the gameplay. It takes a bit of time to actually hover over there and to get the info. As for gameplay, I think I'm going to be learning more, and I'll comment on that later, but it's not bad, just the surrounding systems are making it worse. So yeah, controlling an RTS needs to feel good. And I know this is half RPG, but it's also RTS. It's mostly RTS with RPG. So I think make the RTS pieces feel good, and then the gameplay can feel good as well. Right, folks, that's it for me today. Uh, Thanks for all the viewers actually sticking around, even though I'm a complete noob at this game for now. Although I hope I'm picking up rapidly enough to be interesting. If you haven't followed already, then please do. I generally stream 3 times a week. This time I'll do a little bit tomorrow as well because one of my weekday streams was too short. Normally I stream StarCraft 2 and Halo Wars 2 and Age of Mythology. For those of you that are new, I also sometimes stream some puzzle games or some whatever off games that I feel like. And yeah, I like to talk about game design, as you can probably tell. So yeah, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it. Bye bye, guys. I'm gonna find someone to host.